I'm Amy Spivey. I teach in the physics department, and I also, aside from teaching physics courses, I teach a freshman seminar on energy and electrical power. I think the biggest thing is that to think of it as a process, not something that you sit down and do in one sitting and then have a finished product, but something that you should plan to do in smaller chunks and something that's always ongoing. Even with this particular assignment, it can be always improved. So it's definitely, you should think of it as a process and not something that you just, oh, I'm going to sit down and do this now in this hour and get it done. I think one of the most challenging things about writing in physics, when you're writing things like academic papers for publication, about a research project, or grant proposals, is that you're often doing collaborative writing. And so I've had a couple of experiences, different ones. One when I was a graduate student working with a postdoc and my advisor, where we were sending drafts around, the three of us, and I would send it to one person, and they'd say some comments, and the other person would have some comments, and then I'd change it, and then we went through about 6 or 7 drafts, all the different comments from everybody until all the authors on the paper were happy with it. And that's challenging when you have so many pieces of input from different people. And I just finished a grant proposal with there were 5 of us writing at different institutions, and so we were collaborating electronically and posting new drafts every few hours, and it was an interesting process to get a 20-page document together with 5 authors working on different pieces of it, and the process of how do we divide it up, and then who needs to add which pieces, was interesting. I think getting started is always hard, especially when you're starting on a new thing that you haven't thought about a lot already. That's probably the hardest thing, is actually getting started on a new project. So we faculty members do a lot of different kind of writing. So we write, for instance, new experiments for laboratories, for like the introductory labs. So I was just working on a new experiment for that, and it took me a couple weeks. I finally had to say, all right, I'm going to do it today. I'm going to sit down and just start and just put words on the page and just get going. So I think that's one of the hardest things. And I think some of it too, the once you have a draft and then aren't happy with it, trying to figure out which pieces to change or how to reorganize it can be difficult. I'm thinking particularly of one of the documents that we faculty members write on a periodic basis is our personal statement for our evaluations for tenure and promotion. And so, I'm talking about like a 15-page document about everything that we've done the last 5 years. So trying to get that organized and then revised is fairly challenging. Takes several weeks usually of pretty good work. I think it's fun to watch students be really excited about transmitting their ideas. Like first the process of having something to write about, like having some ideas, having something to say about a topic can be hard, because you can't really sit down and just write about nothing if you don't have thoughts about it, or sources to respond to, or sources to work with and put in conversation with each other. But I think seeing people go through that process of learning, of coming up with their own ideas, and then of being able to really put those ideas on paper so that other people can understand them is rewarding. And sometimes people come to my freshman seminar without being able to do that process. And hopefully by the end of the semester they can do it a little more skilled than they had before. Maybe students don't realize this about faculty members, but we're always writing, no matter what our discipline is. So maybe you don't think about a physicist writing, but I'm always writing things, whether it's for teaching, syllabi, assignments, comments on students' papers, tests, or it's a grant proposal, or it's a article for for publication, or it's one of these review documents for our professional reviews, or it's a recommendation letter for a student for a graduate program or a summer research program, or it's an evaluation letter for a colleague, or even evaluation letters for colleagues at other schools. So we do a lot of writing in a lot of different genres, and so that's kind of an interesting thing. And I think faculty members in all the disciplines do probably writing of lots of different types. So you might ask your professors, what different kinds of writing do you do, and how do you think about different audiences and different levels of technical language, or writing for different audiences, because I bet they have something to say about that.